Pokemon came out in 1990, and I came out in 1997, so the first main series Pokemon game I got around to playing was Pokemon Ruby, which came out in 2002. Over 20 years later, I attempted my first ever Nuzlocke on my first Pokemon game, and here's how it went. If you're unfamiliar with Nuzlockes, there are many rules that can be incorporated which are to the player's discretion. These are the rules that I am utilizing for my Nuzlocke challenge. After introducing myself to the professor and getting shipped to my parents' house like a box of Christmas ornaments, I venture off and immediately witness someone getting mauled by a Pokemon. I grab a Mudkip out of the bag in front of me and tame the thing in an intense tackle battle. The professor lets me keep the Mudkip, which I named Chip, and I scamper off to fight my neighbor in another intense tackle battle. I go back to my new small town and gather a few things from some people, and set out on my adventure. I encounter a Zigzagoon, which I named Ziggy, Poochyena, which I named Ralph, and a Ralts that gave me my first failed encounter by taking a critical hit. I then immediately have to sit and watch Wally catch a Ralts, which I will let you suffer through since I had to in this time of sorrow. Come on, crit. Crit. Of course, low roll. After that nonsense, I encountered a Wurmple, which I named Wormy, and a Shroomish that I named Prim, which lasted about 2 seconds on my team because I forgot and caught a new Leech Life, marking my first death of the run. After releasing Prim, I moved on to fight Roxanne, the first gym leader, which was also one of my first big mistakes of the run. Oh, I did not switch my team up. Yikes. How risky can this be? Alright, I'm not worried. I ended up being fine the rest of the battle as I just used a bunch of water guns to win it, but I realize now that I really need to pay attention to everything I do or else I'm going to cost myself this run. Should kill? Alright, that was too easy. Shortly after Roxanne, I encountered a Talo that I named Chester, and I encountered a Whismur that I just threw away in the garbage. I made my way to Dewford Town to get the Old Rod and got a tentacle encounter that I named Kevin and found a Makuhita that I named Gus. After some training, I went on to have a very easy battle with Brawly. Alright, my prediction for this fight: 3 wing attacks. One. 2. 3. Oh. Alright, so I was off by a couple wing attacks. Sue me. Alright, maybe a few wing attacks. Either way, too easy. I fished some more to get a Magikarp encounter that I named Gary, and I headed over to Slateport City, where I got an encounter with an Electrike, which I named Mike. This is the point in the game where I have childhood trauma. The rival battle here has always caused problems for me as a kid, and I was wondering how a Nuzlocke would treat me in this battle. I ended up sacrificing Dustox to safely get Talo in to take out the Grovyle, but that was the only damage dealt to the team. This battle went a lot better than I thought it would. After May, I decided to battle the Windstray family to get some extra training in before I battled the third gym. With some skill and a little bit of luck, I managed to lose another member of the team in Talo. This was a devastating blow to my team at this point in the run. Oh no. That's not good. I went on to take out some frustration on Wally and head in to battle Watson, the third gym leader. Yeah, I don't think you're ready for the gym, Wally. Oh no. The gym leaders themselves haven't been causing any problems for me so far, with me not having lost a single Pokemon to any of the first 3 gyms. The journey between each gym though has been causing lots of problems, and we're about to head into a segment of this run that I am personally calling Death Valley. Also, I got a Machop named Trevor and a Numel named Norma. Goodbye Roselia and Kevin. Oh my. I don't even want to do this anymore. I quickly replenished the team with a Nuzleaf named Ike and a Zubat named Zach. The next stop was going to the top of Mount Chimney to battle Maxie, where I ended up losing Ike, Mike, and Ziggy, my HM guy. Maxie nearly wiped me this battle, giving me a glance into a dark future where I'd have to restart my run and actually think Nuzlockes are hard. I grew determined to never let this situation happen again. Similar to the Wally situation, I went to take out some frustration on Flannery, who ended up giving me a little bit tougher of a time than the previous gym leaders. Her first 2 Slugmas were very easy to take care of, the first one being dead to a couple water guns, and the next one to a mud shot. So when the Torkoal came out is when some problems started to arise. Here comes the beefy boy. Oh no. Who's getting attracted to that thing? That's what I thought. You let me down, Chip. Okay, we are switching. Come on. Okay, easy. After Flannery, I went and got the Claw Fossil and got a researcher to revive the Anorith for me, which I named Abe. I then immediately went to fight Dad, the 5th gym leader, to show him who's taking out the garbage from now on. I started off with a couple low kicks to take out the first Slacking, then used a revenge against the Vigoroth to take that out. Then his Slacking Ace came out. I had to switch to sack a Pokemon here so Machoke, virtually my only option to take out the Slacking, could live. I sent out Norma the Numel to take a Focus Punch and sent Machoke back in safely. After getting a low kick off, I thought I had to do the same with another Pokemon and switched to sack my Zubat, who miraculously lived. She survives. I got a Supersonic off, hoping I could switch into Machoke without losing Zubat, but that didn't end up being the case. This is the first time I'm losing Pokemon to a gym leader, and it didn't feel good. I I got a low kickoff after losing Zubat, then hoped the Slacking could go for another Focus Punch. Luckily it did, and I got a second low kickoff to take out the Slacking. Lovely. Well, I'm the man of the house now. Man of the gym, whatever you want to call it. Wherever you are, I am the man. Thank you for your sacrifice. Goodbye. After the 5th gym, I gained access to New Mauville and got an encounter with Magnemite, who I named Max. I also got an encounter with Tropius, who I named Tucker, on my way to Fortree, and took out Team Magma at the Weather Institute to receive a cast form. I then quickly dismantled May and got my last encounter before the 6th gym with an Oddish named Otto. After that, I spent an ungodly amount of time training in a pond of Merrills next to Fortree, only defeating the ones above level 18 to avoid any allegations. Honestly, I would love to use rare candies for this, but I have no idea how to hack them in. Training is awful. Winona was the next gym leader to take down, and honestly, this battle was a lot easier than I remembered. The Swallow went down in one hit with a Spark from Max, and the Altaria took a bit but ultimately fell to a bunch of Dragon Rages from Gary after dealing a scary crit Aerial Ace. I think we're looking good. Just don't crit. Oh my. The Pelipper and the Skirmer didn't put much of a fight either, each falling to a single Spark from Max. This was by far the easiest gym leader battle I've had since Watson. Shortly after leaving the gym, I was tasked with chasing Maxie around the country to stop him from stealing a submarine. In my travels, I encountered a Wingull that I named Winston, and took on Tate and Liza, the 7th gym leaders. Alright, so I'm not a pro Nuzlocke or anything, but I think they'll be doing psychic moves on Trevor. It's super effective. Switch in Ralph. Get a Muddy Water off. Hopefully do a lot of damage. Guess we lower attack in the process. Alright, not as much as that. Oh, that's not good. Well, one of them did it. So I think we might still be able to kill. Okay, there's one. Not quite. Oh, I did not know a new Solar Beam. That's switching out just in case. After that little Solar Beam scare, it was just munching time for Mighty Anna and Gyarados, and we just took down the Solrock easily. Heading out after the 7th gem, I found the submarine that Maxie stole, chased him down, and destroyed him in a revenge battle in memory of Ike, Mike, and Ziggy. As the kid in the storyline, I was obviously tasked with taking down the legendary Pokemon that's powerful enough to create every continent after Maxie pissed him off. Which was done with a few serfs from Gary. After saving the world, I headed to the last gym to take on Wallace, who was a nightmare. I forget if he leads with Love Disc or Whiscash. Alright. Ooh. I don't like that. Alright, so what are we switching into? I guess we'll try out Tucker for a bit. Well, I think a nice movie is going to come out next. But we're just going to try it. Yep. Okay, not a big deal. We will use... Let's go into Trevor, get a revenge out, see how much it does. Decent damage. Did less than half, so let's just hope the same thing happens. Oh, are you kidding me? He's got a heal right now, right? Yeah. So Ice Beam is coming. Let's go into Swampert. Ooh, never mind. Because why not? Let's do a mud shot. I'm gonna risk another one. Of course you never recover. Just don't crit. Don't crit. Now I think we go into here for the Intimidate. I'll go into Gyarados to get another Intimidate. Don't like that recover at all. Be faster. Flinch. And flinch. So obviously the first 4 Pokemon are very easy to take down, but this Milotic is giving me the business. Just look how long it takes to actually take this thing down, and watch me lose my mind in the process. I'm just gonna keep Earthquaking. Hope he doesn't recover. Just crit. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. XP all around. After that rather annoying battle, I made it to Victory Road, encountered a Laron named Lenny, and unfortunately made another dumb mistake and lost Ralph. You'd think I'd stop being done by this point. I encountered Wally again at the end of Victory Road for the last time, crushed his hopes and dreams, and then trained so much for the Elite Four. Seriously, I need to figure out this rare candy thing. After a couple years of training, my mic stopped working just in time for the Elite Four, so I will reiterate my plans that were going into each battle. I remember that Sydney started off with Mighty Anna, so I started with Machoke to get an easy kill, also getting a crit in the process. I planned on using Machoke the whole time, forgetting that Shift-3 knows extra sensory, and thinking I could last 2 hits. Seriously, I've had horrible luck with crits this run. I readapted using Pelipper as his aerial ace is super effective against Shift-3 and Cacturn, and then switched into Max to quickly take out the Sharpedo and finish off the Ace Absol with Aggron's Iron Tail. Although we suffered a loss in Machoke, Sydney went down fairly easily. Next up was Phoebe, and my plan was basically to overpower her with my strongest Pokemon, Magneton. The first of her Dusclops went down easily to a Thunder, but the next Dusclops didn't cooperate as well. She then hit me with an Earthquake, which I did not know her Dusclops knew, effectively stopping my initial plan for this battle. I ended up switching into Pelipper, and after quite a few attacks, I finally got the Dusclops down. The rest of the battle finished out smoothly, with Pelipper taking out the Banette with a couple Water Pulses, and Gary taking out the Sableye and second Banette with a few Surfs. The next victim of my stampede through the Elite Four is Glacia. My plan here was to once again just try to overpower her Pokemon with my Magneton. And guess what happened right at the start of the battle? I decided to play out a few turns to defrost Max, assuming I'd need him again at some point in this battle. I then proceeded to have the hardest time dealing with a Glalie in my entire life. After the Glalie finally went down, the Celios came out next, which were both dealt with using some Earthquakes. Then the next, stronger Glalie came out to make my life even more miserable. I took it down immediately with an Earthquake and a Surf. With my Swampert now weak, I swap into Pelipper against the Walrein to try to confuse it so Gary can come in a bit safer. I decided to sack Pelipper here to make the switch even more safe, although I don't think I really needed to do that here. With Gary now in, and after seeing that an Earthquake didn't do nearly enough to the Walrein, I decided to set up a couple Dragon Dances. I didn't want Glacia to heal at all, so I wanted the next Earthquake I used to be the final one. After I got set up, I got the Earthquake off, and it was enough to defeat Glacia's final Pokemon. Next is the fourth and final Elite Four member, Drake, so get your counting fingers ready because the amount of moves used in this battle is about as minimal as it gets. Let's start the count. 1 Ice Beam. Shogun down. 2 Ice Beam. Altaria down. Sandstorm. 3 Ice Beam. Flygon down. Dragon Bat. Paralyzed. 4 Ice Beam. Flygon down. Dragon Claw. 5 Ice Beam. Salamence down. And with the easiest victory I've had this run under my belt, it's time to move on to a bit of a tougher battle against Steven, the champion. I remember that he leads with Skarmory, so I lead with Max to quickly take it out with a Thunderbolt. And it does. Next was Aggron. I tried to confuse him before switching out, but my attack ended up missing, and I ended up losing Max to an Earthquake. I sent in Swampert to avenge the fallen teammate and made quick work of him, taking him down with a single surf. Cradily was sent out next, so I switched into Gary and immediately got confused, so I switched again, this time into Aggron. I used Iron Tail for super effective stab, but it wasn't quite enough to take out the Cradily. Knowing Steven is healing next turn, and that my Aggron is confused, I take the free switch back into Gary. I go for an Earthquake, and it didn't do as much as I thought it would. I got confused yet again, so Aggron got another crack at Cradily. Now that he is weakened from the Earthquake, Iron Tail should be able to finish the job here, and it does. The fourth Pokemon Steven sent at me was Claydol, which put up a tougher fight than I thought it would. I hit it with a Blizzard which took out nearly half its health, and it just went for Reflect. Hoping that I just got a low roll with Blizzard, I went for another one, for some reason being surprised by a Claydol Earthquake in the process. I survived and got off the Blizzard, but it wasn't quite enough to take it out. I try to get another Blizzard off as Steven heals, but it misses. I switch into Gary to avoid the incoming Earthquake, and then immediately switch back into Aggron to see what Claydol wants to hit Gary with. I then switch back into Gary to avoid the incoming Earthquake. Since Reflect wore off, I knew there was a chance Claydol would go for the Reflect or Ancient Power, so I take the opportunity to switch into Swampert. This ended up being a clean switch as it goes for the Reflect. I use Surf with Swampert, but I get a low roll and it barely survives the attack. This means Swampert has to survive an Earthquake, and of course, it lands a critical hit. Steven heals up and I get another Surf off, this time getting a higher roll and taking out the Claydol. Steven gets impatient with me and sends out his ace next, Metagross. The pressure clearly got to me at this point as I continuously used Surf over Earthquake. After a couple turns, Swampert fell to Metagross, and Gary came out to finish the job. I used yet another Surf with Gary, then eventually came to my senses and started using Earthquake. After getting 2 Earthquakes off, Metagross was defeated. Armaldo was Steven's final Pokemon, who took an Earthquake from Gary before taking Gary out with an Ancient Power. Luckily with no Omni Boost, might I add. This meant that it all came down to a 1v1. My 51 HP Aggron to his 2/3 health Armaldo. The only super effective move I have is Iron Tail, with 75% accuracy. It's the only chance I've got. If this misses, there's a Water Pulse coming my way, ultimately ending my first ever Nuzlocke at the furthest possible point. I just have to cross my fingers and hope for the best. Aggron comes in clutch and hits the Iron Tail, takes out the Armaldo, and wins my first ever Nuzlocke challenge. Of course, you can't finish off the run without looking back at the team that got you this far. Entering into the Hall of Fame, Max the Magneton was my personal powerhouse on the team. Chip the Swampert went through this whole journey with us from the start, leading us through so many battles. Lenny the Aggron was the biggest clutch factor on the team. Gary the Gyarados was the best supporting role for the team. Winston the Pelipper was there for when the initial plans fell through, and Trevor the Machoke was the team cheerleader. It's been over 20 years since I first played this game. This is my first ever Nuzlocke Hall of Fame team.